Okay, guys, this is a perfect example of a male nerd who can't figure it out. The male nerds have hobbies that they enjoy. They fight to have girls join up. The girls do. They wreck the game, and then the guys can't figure it out, right? And so this guy, this named Esper the Bard, he's talking about these character race called Tieflings, right? Which is basically devil people, right? And he can't figure out their popularity, right? How are they popular? Like Interview with the Vampire, or where is it? Twilight, right? You saw this is what D&D used to be. This is what Dracula used to be, right? The big scary monster. Then the girls get into it. Interview with the Vampire was written by a woman, and she turned the deadly villains into what is it? Sex icons for women. The same with whoever wrote Twilight, right? Exactly. So we'll get into it. But the other thing is, they tend to, what happens when the girls jump in, they invite their gay friends in, right? Let's see if I can't find it here. Right here, 14. Got to remember where I found it here. Oh, shoot. Just a minute. I'll be right there. 13. That's 1342. Here, right here.
Especially the sexual orientation front. One commenter said enthusiastically, "They're hella gay, and that's dope. More explicitly, they're a race that are different from the societal norm, and in many ways the world looks down on them for no fault of their own." That's something a lot of the log boutiquia / queer folks
Exactly. The LGBT Esper the Bard is a man-hating group. So women who don't like men join up in the game. It appeals to men, and so what do? They damage it. They make it so it appeals to women and not to guys. Okay? So we'll get into this from the beginning.
Love them or hate them, Tieflings have become one of the most popular character races in Dungeons & Dragons. Earlier this year,
because of cosplay. It's basically cosplay. That's why they love it.
DiceScroller.com analyzed 1.2 million characters on
The love of Tieflings, or these devil people, I'll call them, is skin deep. It's strictly what the outward visual is. Because you're going to admit that the Tiefling character is just an ordinary character otherwise. They're just people with horns. There's nothing to them. See, when you get the girls involved, everything becomes skin deep. Okay? I just want to let you know that.
D&D Beyond. In order of popularity, the 5e races people selected were as follows. In first place, Human with 260,000. Second place, Elf with 194,000. Third place was Half-Elf with 115,000. Fourth place was Dwarf with 89,000. And fifth place, Tiefling, also with 89,000. Actually, I would say the Dwarf and the Tiefling are tied for fourth place because the Dwarf only had a difference of 22 characters. Say what you will, but when a race is as popular as dwarves, something is going on. Why the hell are Tieflings so popular? Tieflings were somewhat rare.
You already know the answer to that, and I showed it to you, right? It's the bad boy here turned good, right? Turned into heartthrob. That's what it is, right? And I remember, because I'm an old guy, I really loved the old days when the Tieflings were the villains that you had to fear. Like this is something you didn't want to be, right? And of course, they go through this evolution.
In second edition and third edition, they were a part of a larger group of creatures called Plane Touched. This is where we got things like Aasimar and Tiefling. The Aasimar were associated with celestial higher planes, and obviously the Tieflings were the Plane Touched that had fiendish influence.
And did you notice here, they have this kind of very subtle look by comparison, right? There's something I like about the subtleness of it, of like, oh, there's something off about this person, and I can't tell what it is. Yeah, did you ever read the original story of what was it? Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. They said that about Mr. Hyde, that it wasn't just that he was ugly, but there was something wrong about him that they couldn't put their finger on. It's that kind of thing that really gets that's the innerness of the game, you know, that kind of feeling. And that's what the old Tieflings were, right? There's something really like, look at this, the artwork there. There's something spooky about them, right?
Fourth edition changed that all up. It made them a player's handbook.
And now look at this now. Does this look spooky? He looks like a guy in costume. He has the same old expression. He just has the outward appearance has become more exaggerated, but inwardly, the smile on his face, he's just a normal guy. See? So they drained all the character of the villain and just exaggerated the outward appearance. It's makeup. This is women putting on makeup and doing their hair up and putting on a dress. No substance.
Race, and it gave them the look that they have now. It also gave them a whole new backstory. The Tiefling becoming a core race and getting an established place in the world is of course a factor in their popularity. Fifth edition followed suit with—
Now look at this artwork, right? Like I said, when they had that artwork from before, take a look at this. Do these not look like gay men in costume? Like, is this guy frightening? No.
with them being a core race, and there are even a bunch of Tiefling sub-races / character options. I made a post on Reddit, also on Facebook and Discord, and I also ran a YouTube poll, and I consulted with friends, and I just did some research and some pondering.
Wow, like you couldn't figure it out? Like I noticed what the real answer was in my teens. And these guys can't figure out what's going on here.
All in the hopes of getting to the heart of this question. I got a bunch of different answers from people.
Now take a look. This is what I'm talking about, the evolution, right? Look how spooky they were at the beginning. Then they become cosplay. And by the end of it, they're just normal people putting on makeup. Right? Oh, sorry, get this thing going.
All of which added to the explanation, and I'll get into those answers here shortly. Like most things in D&D, I have my criticisms of the Tiefling. There are things about it that I think are wonky or lacking, and there are things about it that I think are done well. And the sheer fact that Wizards of the Coast has managed to create a creature that is so successful is impressive. I know that Wizards of the Coast has their faults, but like, you try to create something successful. Just try it. See.
Dude, this is not an argument for quality, right? Successful is the lowest common denominator, right? What was it? Twilight is the lowest common denominator. Is there something that impresses you? Would you like to play a game like this? Let's have a game of Twilight, right? Right. So you saying that, you know, it's popular doesn't mean what you think it means. All you're saying is it's popular to women. That's it.
See how easy it is. It's really hard to come up with an idea that's good and be successful with it.
No, you're wrong. You're wrong, dude. There it is. There's a very bad idea, very lame, very cringy, that was highly successful. It's a stupid idea that worked very, very well. So what it is, you can't come to terms with inviting the ladies into a game, which they have complete contempt for, resulted in lameness, right?
But as far as my criticisms go, where do I start? Let's start with the tail. Can the Tieflings do anything with their tails? There's no racial trait, there's no description, there's no feat, there's nothing.
Of course. Look, I'm going to cut to the chase, Esper the Bard. It's all outward appearance. Of course, it has nothing to do with game mechanics. Game mechanics is for male nerds. This is window dressing for women who like to play the game and their gay male friends. Men are such losers, I swear to God. He goes on about the game. Look, I gotta, here we are, zip over here.
And why do Tieflings have no tail attack? They also have no attack with their horns, which is one of the main reasons for having horns. Many Tieflings are also shown as having fangs and claws, but they don't have those natural weapons either.
The horns are effectively a crown or a tiara, right? And the claws are long fingernails, right? Painted nails. Do you see how it works? Do you see what it is? It's ornaments. That's why. I mean, if you wanted them to be useful, you would have only male geeks figure this class out or this race, right? So you can't figure it out, dude. God. Okay. I'll skip ahead and see if there's anything else. Let's see. Oh, sorry. He does mention it right here.
Issue with the race. Why does the diabolic curse only affect their appearance? Wouldn't Asmodeus or whatever?
Because it's women enjoying it. And so all they care about is the appearance. Dumbass. Okay, I got to skip quite a bit of ahead. Let's see.
1958 DR.
Yeah, he talks about how lame the it is, right? But let's see. I'll get ahead. Let's see. Sorry about that, guys. Ah, come on.
Exotic. Check out my upcoming 5e book, Monstrous Heroes. Pre-ordering is still available in the
Monstrous Heroes is stupid. It ruins the game. Because once you take, look, this is how cool they are as the villains. Man, that's frightening. That's Dracula, right? This is what happens when they become the heroes, right? There's a reason it doesn't work, okay? Now let's get past that because again, why have they become so popular?
got some pretty good traction. It was entitled, Why Have Tieflings Become So Popular? The top comment said, they're Technicolor half-demons with built-in angst and plot hooks due to their ties to the Hells.
Built-in angst. Right. That's really not cringy, is it? They're not diabolical evil who, badasses that kick ass and the heroes have to worry about it. They get all this teenage angst.
They're different enough from conventional fantasy races that they're interesting without being so different that they alienate newcomers. They pretty much sell them.
They don't alienate newcomers, right? So people who aren't even interested in the game, in other words, women and their LGBTQ man-haters. We can't alienate them. We're a bunch of male geeks, and instead of enjoying our hobby, we got to turn around and attract women who have contempt for us and our game. Pathetic.
Themselves. Another person made a good point. Drow used to be the cool, edgy race, but due to sunlight sensitivity and the race's bad rep, they ain't as playable. Tieflings don't have these cons, plus they get cool horns. Also, people horny for demons being a thing.
Hey, they mention it. It's just the sex appeal. It's Twilight all over again. Oops, sorry about that.
These points were restated and added onto by this person. They are edgy, unique looking, and their story is relatable to a lot of marginalized communities. A lot more people from those communities,
Marginalized communities. That's a euphemism for the LGBT.
Myself included, joined D&D during 5e and flocked to Tieflings. Many other people.
They joined the game in 5e. Now there's the 5th edition, everyone, right? I went through all 5 editions. It's really 4th edition, actually 3rd edition, I would say, that the women started coming in. And of course, this was the inevitable result. 5th edition, they invited their gay friends.
People made comments about finding the Tiefling sexy. Some people also pointed out how the Tiefling, mechanically speaking, is a strong race due to their fire resistance and great innate spells and bonus to charisma, in an edition in which 3 full spellcasters and 1 half-caster use charisma as the spellcasting ability. Dragonborn also get damage resistance and a bonus to.
No, I don't like Dragonborn either. Why? Because it's a furry, right? I have nothing against furries. I'm glad furries are enjoying their furry stuff. But furry would damages the game. Because if you humanize the monster, if he's just a man in a dragon costume, he's no longer non-human. He's no longer the other, the interesting. See, this is just a man in a dragon costume, right? It ruins it.
Charisma, but their breath weapon is underwhelming, and they don't have dark vision like Tieflings do. Plus, the Dragonborn are less human and less relatable on a personal level for some players.
Yeah, they're not as sexy, right? Now look at this. This is a beautiful, stunning female, and the horns only add to the sex appeal. That's why he had a video talking about why there's so many elven races, right? Because the elven races are sexy, right? They're beautiful female characters with pointed ears.
In fact, this theme of Tieflings being relatable kept popping up a lot. People continually talked about how they could relate to the Tiefling being an outcast, or a target for prejudice, and a tragic soul who is victimized by society due to something out of their control.
Yeah, they're victims, right? These bad people aren't bad people. They're victims. That's the other thing, right? That's what I notice about these man-haters. You know, they're the villains, but they want to see themselves as good people, right?
Some people take this in a universal sense, and some people take it in the sense of relating to their sexual orientation or ethnicity.
There you go. Sexual orientation, the LGBT, right? Right. And women in general. Women make everything about their sex.
Especially the sexual orientation front. One commenter said enthusiastically, "They're hella gay, and that's dope." More explicitly, they're a race that are different from the societal norm, and in many ways the world looks down on them for no fault of their own.
Really? So the villains are looked down on for no fault of their own? Isn't it the fact that they're demons or devils and they want to eat your soul and send you to hell?
That's something a lot of the log boutiquia / queer folk identify with, so have adopted them as their own. I had never realized that. Tiefling is the...
You never realized this? How long were you into the game? I saw this as obviously what was going on here.
Go-to race for log boutique individuals. Now, I personally have not seen a ton of...
Yeah, they turn them into cutesy characters. Now, let's get beyond this. Let's see. Yeah, this is what he's saying. Look, before, see, cool. The male nerds love this. There's the badass creature who wants to kill you. Then here's the female LGBT type. It's basically a furry. Right. Now, there is, get past this, because I think there's something very important. Oh, yes, he talks about, what is it? The daddy issues, right? Now, first of all, let's take a look at there. This is what I'm talking about. Having this view here where the devil man is looking ridiculous takes away from him, okay?
So that was the point of the poll. These are all factors in Tiefling's popularity, and I was interested to see which of the factors appealed to people the most. And even though I've used Tieflings a lot as a GM, I've never played one across all the many characters I've had as a player. The sexiness factor is the least interesting to me.
Right here. This is the other issue. This is more proof that this is about man-hating, right?
Conflict and a painful yet transformative character arc. Let's see. Hopefully I can play one. As with the video I did trying to figure out why there are so many elf subraces, I consulted with some close personal friends on this topic, and that same good friend of mine gave me an interesting answer. The short, hot take version of his answer is, Tieflings are popular because of daddy issues.
That's something they say about women, right? So if Tieflings are popular because of so-called daddy issues, it means they're popular because women are like them. Women are the ones with the daddy issues, right? So you introduce women into the game who really aren't into the game. And what do? They change it. They make it cringe and stupid. Lame.
The more in-depth version is that Tiefling is part of a collective psychological theme that involves evil parents. There's a common archetype of the dark father or dark mother, aka evil king or evil queen, aka tyrannical father or devouring mother. We see it all over the place in myths, folklore, movies, games, literature, etc. As an archetype, it is cross-cultural and timeless. The Tiefling fills the role of being the child of the evil parent.
The evil father in particular, you'll point that out.
Especially the figure of the evil father, as we think of some corrupt king and his counselors.
So it's anti-male. Exactly. Exactly. Women don't like men. So these young women get in there. Who are they? You don't notice they make all the extra non-human people, like the tieflings and the dragons, they're good now. But what remains evil? The man.
Making a pact with devils in order to gain more dominance, at the cost of sinking into an even deeper layer of corruption. My friend pointed out how the rate at which people have issues with their parents has climbed substantially in recent decades.
Yeah, single motherhood. That's right. The father gets estranged, and the mother turns the father into a villain, right? She gets the child alone, and the father has no presence, no way to defend himself, and the mother badmouths him. So now there's daddy issues. Daddy's to blame for everything.
And, as so many have stated, they feel a sense of relatability with the Tiefling. They identify with the character who has been betrayed or cursed or abandoned by their corrupt father. The character is some kind
So these guys, they turn around and they relate to Satan, right? Satan rebels because Satan wants to be in charge. And then he gets defeated, and then it's, oh, woe is me. But the whole point is that Satan wasn't worthy of the position, right? So think about that when you relate to this.
kind of outcast, shunned by the status quo of society, yet able to tap into a seductive world of pleasures and rebelliousness. So there you have it, my brave companions, a working theory as to why Tieflings are so popular. Tieflings embody the trope of the child of an evil parent. Some people have deep problems with their parents, especially their father.
Especially their father. There you go. There you go. So it's a women who don't like men get into the game and they relate to a group of or a race of characters that have issues with the father figure. Right.
Tieflings embody the seductiveness of the dark side. All people are tempted by the forbidden and the dangerous to some degree.
Right. But you don't see that in this game, do you? He even complained about it in this video. I can't remember where it was. I'd love to find it. But I'm going to scour through this again. The point is, you mentioned yourself, what's the love of the game, right? It's to go into the dungeon and face the monsters. And of course, it's not happening anymore. The monster is the villainous dad, right? Now, I just want to point out where you show up in your comment section, right? Let's see. This guy who you end up talking to says it in a nutshell. I never cared much about for tieflings, right? They remind me too much of World of Warcraft. That's right. Women love World of Warcraft because it's all outward appearance, right? In 5e, no one I ever DM played Tiefling until lockdown, that is. That's when all hell broke loose, right? That's when all the losers joined, right? All the bored people that couldn't go out and just mingle with each other. All the bored women said, hey, I'll get into D&D now, right? I truly miss the days when players played D&D for the adventure. Yeah, the male nerds, that's right. Right? To brave the dark dungeon, to slay the ferocious dragon, get the shiny loot. Yeah, that's what the game originally was about, right? Then you invited the girls in, and it changed for the worse, right? These last few years, I feel more like I'm running a therapy session instead of D&D adventure. And that's pretty frightening. That's right. Guys who don't even like the game come to it and use it as therapy. Wow, that doesn't sound familiar as a men's rights activist, right? I have the same experience, am I? Or sorry, M1982. The same experience. Guys show up to cry on your shoulder and then they leave and don't change anything for the better. I know. And he gives this whole story about that, right? Now, I'm not going to go on through all this. But dude, no offense, but since you've written a wall of text, you yourself are engaging in therapy with Esper the Bard, right? So no offense. So I'm in there correcting things, right? Saying, here it is in a nutshell, right? And you invite women into the group and they invite their gay male friends, and then the game turns to shit. Right. Like I said, I've been around since the first edition, and I've seen each edition become worse steadily. Right. Because male nerds didn't know enough to just enjoy their hobby. They had to have the girls in hook by crook. Right. I'm sorry, this is oil and water. You can't mix them together. Right. So I hope you hear this, Esper. I want to call you Esther for whatever reason. Esper the Bard, and I hope you hear this and you'll actually figure things out, right? You come to terms with what's going on here. Remember, this is what D&D used to be, and this is what it turned into. No, thank you.